Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another episode sponsored by Gray Fox Games, who sponsored this board gaming podcast that we do. That's usually about board games.
Rarely.
In a mountain of time.
25 to 30%.
A portion.
But yeah, so we get that portion out of the way early by jumping right into what we've been playing. And this time, you guys have only played the same things, right? So you're going to kind of bounce off each other?
Correct.
Okay, then I'll go first. So last week I was incorrect when I said I hadn't played a game, and I can't believe that no one called me on it, first of all, because people knew that I was lying and said nothing. Especially because they had a chance to point out that I got humiliatingly stomped in Age of Steam, like 2 weeks ago. We were playing on, I think it was like a Wednesday night, maybe. That game was me, Boyd, Chris, and I don't remember who the fourth player was.
Was it Josh?
No, Josh was in the second game that
Okay.
I will be talking about because I've played two of them.
Oh, that's the only one I remembered. So
Yeah.
But anyhow, 4-player Age of Steam game. We played the Rust Belt map because it was Boyd was fairly new to it. I think Chris was fairly new to it, and then the other guy whose name I'm drawing a total blank on, and I'm very sorry about. I think it was his first time ever playing. I've played a handful of times. I don't know if I'd ever played Rust Belt, but the game just right away, it got away from me. And I'm not entirely sure. This one, I didn't have a particular thing where I noticed, like, hey, this thing I did was a mistake. I just played poorly. And so, like, I ended up getting ahead in issuing shares, which meant that the whole game I was owing more money than other people. And for a long time, like, Chris was getting kind of stomped. And it looked like me and Chris would be fighting for last, but really he had a secret, sneaky plan to actually get back into the running of things. And I think he may have snuck into second place. He didn't win, but he left me in the dust. So I was very alone in far last place. And then I think Boyd ended up winning that one. It was a good game. I kind of fell behind early and struggled to keep afloat for too long in that one.
Is Rust Belt just an expansion?
Rust Belt is the base map.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different maps. We were playing
like
on
a million
Tabletop
maps.
Simulator. Yeah. We were playing on Tabletop Simulator, and we were playing a really well-scripted version of the new Age of Steam that like was recently released with like the updated art and everything.
Is it just called Steam?
No, it is Age of Steam.
It is Age of Steam. Is it from
Yeah,
2002?
No.
Okay. But it is Age of Steam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like so that 2002 like
Deluxe
it's that
edition?
same one. It's like yeah. I don't know if it's specifically called Deluxe Edition or not.
Gotcha.
But it's like a new printing of that one, so it's still listed under the same one. I don't know. But it's really good. I like Age of Steam a whole lot. In fact, I liked it so much that I decided to play it again. So this time we were going to have like a 5-player game, and then somebody dropped out, and then we did like the whole teach, and then Boyd was like, "Oh, guys, my stomach hurts. I'm gonna bow out, so I don't like leave halfway through." He's like, "But I'll leave Tabletop Simulator running since I'm hosting it, and you guys can play." And they're like, "Okay, sure, great." So this time it was me and Josh and I think Ian. And we were playing, and it was just immediately apparent that Josh actually knows how to play. Like, he knows legit strategy and is good, because he rapidly just raced away. Like, it wasn't even close. It was so bad that we had agreed to call it after the 6-player, because, like, you play a certain number of rounds based on number of players. And, like, there's, like, 6-player stops after, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 rounds. And then it's, like, 5, and then it's, like, 4, and then, like, 3. And we were going to stop at the first one of those. Like, just as soon as we can justify calling it an end, let's just call it an end and put us all out of our misery. and we were like a round away from that, and it timed out because Boyd hadn't been interacting with his computer, and so Tabletop Simulator timed him out.
Great.
And crashed our game. But it was very apparent. Josh won that one. There was no way he was going to lose. It was definitely Ian and I playing for not last, and there was no consensus on who was on their way to not last the best. I felt like I was in a pretty good spot for not last. But yeah. And then because I continue to be a glutton for punishment, I might be playing again on Thursday, I want to say. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, Age of Steam, real good. The Tabletop Simulator version works really good. Josh was talking about a different version online. I think Vassal, yeah. That he prefers. He doesn't seem to like Tabletop Simulator. Like, he thinks like all the laying tiles and actually doing things physically adds a lot of time to gameplay, which I could totally see. Like, it'd be faster to play if something kind of did that automatically, or you could do it like with really quick little clicks and stuff. But for me, I already barely like digital board gaming, so having that little extra interaction where it's kind of reminiscent of playing around a table and actually interacting with the pieces, that actually really helps me enjoy.
Well, and I've got to assume, I feel like Vassal is not about aesthetics at all. It's only about like efficiency and what's the word I'm looking for? Not aesthetics, but what's the other one? I don't know. But yeah. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like how you would the brass game where it works. I don't know. Don't worry about me.
Should we worry about you?
No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Like we might need to worry about
everything. Is fine. But yeah,
cool.
But yeah, and yeah, Jeff. So this is Age of Steam Deluxe, technically.
Gotcha.
That we're playing the Tabletop Simulator mod of. But yeah, so that's what I played. Age of Steam. I got absolutely raffle stomped in the first game, and I was certainly nowhere near winning in the second game. So yeah, that's it for me. Megan and I might this week play some more Fog of Love. We'll see. We've been talking about getting another game of that going. And then I'm supposed to play a game maybe Thursday. Might be Age of Steam. I might try and push for like Indonesia or something if we have enough people. If we have 5 people, I might try and do Indonesia. We'll see. But so hopefully I'll have a game to talk about next week.
Hooray!
Yeah. But I'll turn it over to you two. So what games did you play together?
We played colloquially known as TLOTR:JIM-E, or The Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-Earth, which is the latest of the Imperial Assault / Mansions of Madness-esque games from Fantasy Flight. This with the Lord of the Rings theme.
And a campaign versus tying into the Imperial Assault style, yeah.
Yeah, it's closer to Imperial Assault because of the campaign. And it is also app-driven. And
okay.
Zach, you played this at something, right?
We played it at BGG Con.
Okay.
But we just played the introduction map, which was fun, but it had been a while, at least a year and a half at this point, almost a year and a half. So when we busted it out, I was like, I don't remember how to play at all. So we just all learned at the same time.
Yeah. But it has a decent tutorial.
Yes.
It has the learn to play book and then the actual rule lookup book. So we started the first campaign. There's only one campaign, and then there's a DLC campaign, and then there's an expansion that has its own DLC campaign. But it seems like it's a fairly long campaign. We went through 4 missions.
Yes, we did, yeah.
There is 2 types of mission. There's an overworld where you're putting down hex map tiles.
It's called the journey map
and
then the battle map.
Yep. And then when you complete that, you go to a battle map, which is sort of these 2 big square pieces with 5 spaces on each of them that are large.
Okay.
That use the same rules, but it's to represent a much smaller scale. So you have the big overworld map, and then you find the camp that the enemy is in, and then you fight in the camp that has like little terrain tiles, like kind of like Gloomhaven. Like there's bushes here, there's a fire here, there's walls here, to sort of break up these maps to just not be flat green or stone terrain. But the app does a good job of actually like 3D-ifying those.
Too good a job, some would say.
Too good a job? Yes. Like when you have walls down, it raises up a little wall.
Yeah, so it becomes a 3D wall, or you put a statue token down and then a statue appears on there. Bushes, beer barrels, that sort of thing.
Yep. Tables that you need to stand on top of.
Yes, you need to. Yeah. Now, the actual tokens that you interact with do not become 3D or anything like that, so they're still just flat on the ground and easily hidden by 3D terrain.
On a app map, yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, like, the overworld, it has kind of like a threat timer system. Well, they all do. And that's sort of your ticking clock to finish the mission.
Yeah. It's based on how many people are playing, but then also unexplored tiles and threat tokens that are out. So once the map like expands some, you really need to go out and explore those areas. Otherwise, threat's going to add a lot. And then the same is like when there's a threat token on the board, that's something you really do want to take care of, unless you realize like I only have a turn or two until the end of the scenario, so that's not really going to matter as much.
Yep. The scenario is all app driven, so like Mansions of Madness, when you go into combat, when something attacks you, it just sort of pops up whatever its internal random card draw is for what damage you're going to take, or what theme behind that attack there is.
I'll tell you, after playing Forbidden Waters for so long, like it popped up and then text came up, and I for a split second, and then I was just like, Where's the voiceover? Where's Piccolo? Why can't I hear him?
Yeah,
like,
it's like it doesn't read anything out to you, which sucks. But that's Fantasy Flight. So not really any narration. I think there was a narration at the very beginning of the campaign, like the first mission intro.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. There's a bunch of minis. They're all the same for whatever enemy type they are. Your characters, there's 6 different ones. It's like Aragorn, Bilbo, Gimli, Legolas, and then 2 people that I've never heard of before. One is a Ranger of the North, and the other is a harpist.
A musician. Yeah.
Elf lady.
Yep.
So Zach immediately chose the harpist.
Yeah, especially because Paul was just like, oh, what a useless looking character. And I was like, albeit. And it turned out she was pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
So...
Paul went with Legolas. It was also pretty good.
Yeah, he was our murder machine, basically. I was like, oh, I can squint and barely see someone over there. Let's just do 5 damage twice to them real quick.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Where your average human has like 5 health. So he was wiping dudes off the board. And then I didn't do much except explore things in that first mission. Yeah.
And if there's anything I know about Lord of the Rings, is that Aragorn just really doesn't do much the entire time.
No. Not at all.
just sort of stumbles around in the mud, I believe.
Yeah. This is pre Lord of the Rings, so.
Yep.
You have your 6 characters, but they can also have subclasses like Captain and Burglar and Guardian and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a deck builder. So you have your character abilities, which are like 3 cards, and then you get a deck of whatever your class is, like Captain, and that's like another 6 cards, and then you have like a basic set, which is like another 6 cards. So, and then you get like a bad card that's just basically a blank to throw in there at the beginning of every mission. So you have like 14, 15 cards. And then at the beginning of every turn, you get to scout. So basically, you get to look at the top 2. But with Aragorn, if you're nearby him, you get to look at the top 3. And then you get to prepare one of those and then put them on top or bottom of your deck in the order you wish. There's no dice in this game, like Imperial Assault. It's all based on the cards in your deck. In the top left, there's little leaf fate icons or stars for success. The stars are just success, and then the leaves are not success unless you use an inspiration, and then they become a success. So it's a lot of trying to have enough inspiration to be able to make these tests, which may or may not need a certain amount of attempts or numbers. You don't really know.
To be fair, some of them just do say, test spirit 2, and then you just need 2. But if it's just like, put in the number of successes you had, that is correct.
A la mansions.
A la mansions. It can be anywhere from like 1 or 2 to even like 4 or 5. The one thing I would say is I feel like with mansions, it sort of let you know in a way whether or not
you're almost there. Keep working at it.
Yeah.
Where this is just like, and you've done this thing,
and you failed at it.
Yeah, but it
doesn't really make you feel like it was I
progress.
Failed because it didn't happen. Yeah, it was still progress. It just seems like you're like, oh, I didn't get the requisite number. So
which we would get like a lot of success, like 4, which is a lot, or sometimes 5, and it'd be like meh, and maybe that one was just like, you need to do multiple tries at this. Maybe behind the scenes, it's like, oh, you need 5 successes. We're expecting a 2 and a 5, or a 2 and a 3, and you got 4, but so you still need 1 more. But the communication on that's not super great. From the app telling you.
Yeah. Because it didn't feel that different versus like you needing 3 successes and you got 2 on something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. It is hard to tell, but otherwise it worked well enough. I do like that you have your cards and you're doing it from your cards versus just rolling dice. I think that was a good innovation for it.
Yeah. Because your most powerful cards are going to be the ones that have success on them, so you can either use them to later do a bunch of damage or reduce a bunch of damage or what have you, or you can keep it in your deck to actually succeed at something.
Yeah, and so when you're scouting, it's you have that thought process that comparison of just you're looking at it and you're like, this one here doesn't have any symbols, so getting it out of my deck will give me a better chance at success, but it doesn't have a great ability, whereas the other one has an amazing ability, but it is a success or a fate, and so getting rid of those, reduces that. So it gives you that good decision.
I finally got Aragorn to like a good build where I had a card that, of course, Aragorn's best stat, as he's legendarily known, is wisdom. So when you fight, there's not a lot of wisdom involved. But I finally found like his Thorongil card. I was like, oh, if I have that deployed, then whenever I need to make any test, I can just use wisdom for that test instead of having to use whatever it was going to test. And then in your basic cards, there's like, I think 1 for each stat. Like if this is deployed, you can just get an extra bonus success on whatever that one version is, agility or wit or spirit. So then I'd have like that wisdom out, and then I'd get going. Another neat thing, because it is a campaign, you're unlocking lore as you go throughout the campaign. You have experience, but lore is kind of like another kind of experience.
That's like group experience.
Yeah, and you get experience for your class, so like captain, burglar, etc. It's your standard like 3 XP for this, 7 XP for this, 12 XP for this. Like Imperial Assault, but lore is specifically for your items. Everyone has like 2 or 3 starting items, but all those items also have upgrade trees. So my Wanderer's Cloak could turn into 2 different types of cloak once we hit 24 lore. And then when we hit 27 lore, my sword is going to turn into something else. Where Zach had like his harp upgraded.
Yeah. And it's nice because certain one of them give you like certain upgrades give you like choices. You can like the dagger that I upgraded. It was like you can spend an inspiration to gain range, so you're basically throwing it. Or if there is an orc, if you're attacking orcs or goblins, you actually get to draw an extra card, so you have a better chances of succeeding through it. So that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
I remember one of the ones we played. So there are items that you can get throughout the game, which will also upgrade. And I got some extra food rations.
Extra rations
that you could use at the beginning of the turn, basically to heal a damage. Except literally the first, like I got those and then I immediately took damage, and it was.
And the damage, so it's like damage and fear. That's kind of like your health and mind.
Sanity, yeah.
And it's similar to Mansions, where it's cards that you flip over and they have, on the underside, it's a sort of text thing that may or may not be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes is actually a benefit until the end of the round.
Well, the damage that I got, basically, it showed me getting knocked down, and it was exhaust an item, and I had just received the item, or was deplete the item.
Deplete an item, yeah.
Yeah, and so I had just earned it, and then it immediately got depleted. So I basically just got rations, and then I immediately fell directly on them, and they were all smushed. And I was like, God damn it.
Until we learned how depletion works, and then it wasn't really like that.
Exactly.
But it was, but that was after the mission.
That was after the mission, so yeah. Because there are item tokens that we were seeing, like, are we going to put them on the map or something like that? But then we later learned it was like, oh.
At the bottom of each of those items that can deplete, you have like charges. So
yeah, because when I upgraded my rations, I could either do it 4 times to heal once or 2 times to heal 2. So we were looking at it, and it's like, well, this one says you can heal 1, this one says you can heal 2. Why would I not choose that? And that's when we realized the depletion tokens on the bottom left. Got it.
So yeah, we went through 4 missions. The first 2 were pretty basic. Apparently there's like a branching campaign of some sort, depending on how well you do on certain missions and stuff. Because like I know the campaign and the expansion has like 14 different missions, but it seems like we might be running into the end of ours. Like maybe 2 more left?
Maybe, yeah, we'll see. Because I know one of our missions was save a ranger, and we saved her, but, because our next mission was her telling us to go talk to somebody.
To an inn.
To an inn, and if we didn't save her, we might not have gone there.
Yeah.
Obviously, who knows? But, yeah, I'm curious to see how much longer we actually have in this one, because I know the DLC, one of the DLC campaigns has 13 scenarios in it, but I don't know if it means 13, a long 13, or if it's like you can get 6, but like you said, branching. So
yeah, the last one we did was in an inn, and it had more of like a deduction thing to it, where it was sort of that like closed-in battle map, but it was just the inn, and you were going and talking to people and trying to figure out who the spy was.
Yeah, that one was our closest to losing, and technically we did lose, but we also sort of were just like,
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Because what happened was, at some point, like, you had to deduce, like you said, to do something, and then if you get it wrong, the person goes and runs for help, and then the help comes and just starts burning the inn down, and we had to get all of the fires down in order to succeed, and that involved agility, which
I was bad at,
and I was bad at. We both only had 2,
which is drawing 2 cards.
Yeah,
to try and
2
get
cards
successes.
And by watching Paul do it, we could tell that you needed 3 successes, and it was like, well, that's gonna be a problem.
Yes, we got all 4 of the fires out.
We got all 4 of the.
We realized that on the map there was a 5th fire behind one of those walls, 3D walls on the app. So we didn't ever put the token down because we couldn't see the token behind the wall in the app.
Because we were looking at it at an angle on the app, and we didn't like twist to see. So now, that's definitely something we will remember to do. But it was one of those things of like,
we wasted a bunch of actions, like just attacking dudes.
Yeah,
where we could have put the fire out.
Yeah, and it was just like, normally I try to be fairly like, well, even sure, it would have been better if we did this, but this is what we did, But this one was, it felt like it wasn't, I mean, it sort of was our fault, but not really. And there was no way, like, we didn't realize it until the very end after our last
It was like
turn.
our last action.
Yeah.
We thought we were putting out the last fire. I needed to get just the right amount of successes. And then we were like, hooray! And we put it out, and then nothing happened. And then I turned the map, and I'm like, fuck.
Fuck, there's fire there. And all three of us like looked at each other, and then Jeff just clicked on it and just started adding successes to it. And we're like, yeah, that's
18
right.
successes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it, yeah. One thing that's
Gandalf came
annoying,
in and blew that shit right out.
Yeah. One thing that's a little annoying, and I don't remember if the Mansions has it or not, is that there isn't an undo button. So there were one or two times when, like, we would click on something and then realize,
It was like one of your abilities that was like, oh, when a monster moves into your space, stun it and do 4 damage to it. And if it's the monster's turn and they move to attack, there's no way to be like, oh, they were stunned. It's just sort of like you have to go through their attack, hit continue, go to the end of the like rally phase, the start of the next turn, then you can do the damage and stun it. We ran into that a couple times.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah. There was no sort of interrupt and in the game at all. Like once a certain phase started going, it was gonna fucking go until it was done.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, we played 4 missions.
Yeah, we played 4. They were enjoyable. It felt like we were all doing separate things. It was
It's all very Lord of the Ringsy.
Yeah. Wasn't like super pulled in by the story, but it was just still enough to just be like, yeah, well, keep on going. So
there's bad guys stole some stuff from the Shire, and you got to hunt them down. Oh no, orcs.
Yep, standard Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeff has 2 of the small expansions, but I do want to try out the big expansion whenever he gets that.
It's Moria.
Yeah, because it adds in some more characters, including Gandalf, which is like, we were talking about it, and it's like, I don't know how that's going to work. If it won't seem true to the lore at all if it's anything other than, all right, Gandalf, you do one thing, and then you have your own fucking adventure doing something else for the entire movie until the very end. So,
yeah,
because he's also super powerful, I would guess. I mean, in the game, he won't actually be. He will be as powerful as everybody else, but it's like, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
So, yeah.
I don't know. After you guys were talking about it the other night, I was telling Megan a little bit about it, and she's vaguely intrigued because we both really like Lord of the Rings stuff. So
I want
to give it a shot.
Scenario by scenario, Mansions is better, but the fact that this one has a campaign definitely gives it a solid plus in that regard.
Totally.
Okay.
And it for me, it feels like with that, there's enough to differentiate between them that you could have both in a collection. So
Well, that's good considering I spent the first part of the pandemic stocking up on my Mansions of Madness. Shit.
Yes.
I do like that also on the app as you play, the map has like little fog areas to let you know like this is the way the map will inevitably go once you figure out how to make it go that direction. So you're not just totally like fucking surprised, like, oh, we have to go to the other end of the fucking map because that's the way it expanded and we had no idea.
Yep. Or
Yeah.
in terms of setting up your, like, on the table, it's
Board
like, oh,
space.
yeah, this thing is going to be going to the left and, to the left and down, so we need to orient it so that we can easily put those out.
Yeah. And the insert is tradition fantasy flight trash. It's
just the giant trench.
The biggest trench I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's games.
Well, right on. Yeah. That wraps up what we've been playing, which lets us move on over to some banter.
That fucking boat in the Suez Canal.
Oh, it's out now. It's out.
Yeah,
it got out this
yep,
morning.
it finally got out, and I saw a tweet that was just like, the first person in a big boat that follows that boat, in the back of my mind, they just be like, this would be the funniest fucking thing ever. Just wham right in there again.
And then if that had happened, the third person would have to like trifecta it.
Yeah. And then I saw someone that said like, people keep talking about like stocks and splitting and all this other shit that just doesn't make any sense. But I can understand. Oh, the economy got fucked because a boat got stuck. I get that. I can understand what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bonkers. Somebody was saying apparently there was at least one Kickstarter that sent out a notification to its European backers that like, hey, your games are on that boat. So, but there were a lot of people joking about that. Like, I saw somebody on Board Game Twitter shared like a meme version of it that was like, it was like a picture of the boat and like circled was one of the containers, and it said that Kickstarter you've been waiting on for 3 years that just sent you an update that said you guys are not going to believe this. So, yeah.
My favorite are all the they showed some pictures because obviously it was a hell of a time to get that thing out from being stuck. But one of my favorite pictures is this giant boat that weighs 200,000 tons is stuck on the side, and then there's a fucking backhoe sort of thing, just slowly trying to get it out there, and just all the memes that came up because of that were just great.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah. One of them, and it's just so stupid. It was just for the boat labeled drugs, and then the little backhoe thing of the war on drugs. It's yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The final meme was very good because none could possibly beat it. It's the Grim Reaper one where it's like, hey, it's time to go. And it was like, was I the best meme? And he was like, yeah, you were. And then the boat is an extra panel. It says I can't go, I'm stuck.
Yeah, that one is real good.
Oh shit.
It's really it was really warm today. 72 today.
And it's supposed to maybe snow tonight.
Just in time for my commute in the morning.
Nice.
Yay.
Everything I saw said accumulation of less than 1 inch.
Yeah,
so I think you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, and especially with the warm grounds, it's not gonna stick anywhere. Yeah. It was good then that I got my hair cut this morning finally after, I don't know, 7 or 8 months maybe of not getting a cut. I knew it was a problem when I went in there, and I was because I usually go to just Floyd's barbershop, and their normal cut is called the Floyd's cut, and so I went in there, that's what I put my appointment as, and then I went in there, and then they were looking at my hair and stuff and they're like, okay, by the way, it's actually gonna be the because of the length of your hair, it's gonna be the mid tier cut or something like that instead of the Floyd's one, and I was just like, God damn it, I knew I waited too long, but then they ended up charging me the normal one anyway. I was like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I see it, I'd have been no. Because cutting down to, a set length, it's not having your hair a little longer really makes that much harder.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure, yeah, I would assume it was once I told her, she's like, so what do you want to do with this? And I was like, I just want you to cut, bring the back and sides down real short, and then the top not as short, but still short. And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's not that much difference.
Right. I have a haircut on Thursday, so I'll also be getting my hair chopped.
How often do you normally cut your hair, Adrian?
Well, so in the past, I used to cut my hair 2, maybe 3 times a year, whether I needed it or not. However, because of COVID, the place that Megan gets her haircut that I've been dying to go to, because Megan has really fine hair similar to mine, and the lady rocks cutting Megan's hair, but she had a massive fucking wait list for appointments. And then COVID happened, and all of her people stopped going, and then she was getting desperate, and I was like, I will take a spot. So I've been getting my hair cut. I was getting it cut every 4 or 5 weeks since December. Or November-ish. I don't remember when I got my first haircut with her. But then I went 6 weeks. My hair is actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Right now. My beard, on the other hand, is getting out of control. But I have no intention of shaving that anytime soon. I'm probably gonna trim it up, maybe before I go get my haircut, just so that I look, reasonably human.
Yeah.
After my haircut. But yeah,
Gotcha.
that's about it.
Yeah, I have my stepdad and then a person I work with at work, like they get their haircut every 2 weeks, and I'm like, how I don't know. I mean, I understand why they do it because it's I know what I want my hair to look like, and as soon as it doesn't look like that anymore, it needs to go back to looking like that. I get
Which
that.
is that's always been funny to me because like I don't like I feel like my hair right now looks about like it did. Like it doesn't look exactly like it, but it looks close enough to what it looked like, 8 weeks ago that I'm fine with it. Like it's this I style it the same way and it looks more like it's a little longer around the ears and the sides is where it's really noticeable. But like the top, it's not that noticeable that it's an inch longer. Like an inch isn't that long.
Yeah.
So,
well,
meh.
Well, we can talk to somebody who actually like takes care of their hair, Jeff.
It continues to be long.
Does Jeff actually take care of his hair?
Yeah.
Like do you, Jeff? Like I don't know what your hair care regimen is like.
I wash it.
See, he takes care of it, man. See?
That's it. That's what I do.
Do you blow dry it?
No. Air dry. Towel dry.
That's crazy to me because anytime I've had hair like even close to as long as yours, even though it's not nearly as like lion's mane thick, I had to blow dry it. Like I got tired of always just having like wet lank hair. Like I couldn't towel dry it enough to be satisfied.
Yeah, I get it towel dry enough and then just air dry it.
Gotcha.
Well, now if any of his roommates anger him, he can just fucking whip his hair at him. So...
Yeah.
Jeff, are you trying to become Bayonetta?
That's a different...
You've now introduced an image into Jeff's mind that he just did not want.
My hair will not become also my clothes.
Yeah.
And weapons I fight heaven and hell with. Is your hair like still growing like lengthwise, or have you like figured out what I don't know. Probably.
It's gotta be. I mean, it's not like it's like down to his butt or something.
Right.
Like human hair grows long.
Right. No, what I mean is I didn't know if he had like I like it this length now, or if it was just I'm just continuing to let it grow. Okay.
It still mostly lives up, so.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It is rare that it is down.
All I know, Jeff, is if someday like we walk it, we meet up to play games, and you come like how you looked like 3 years ago, like super short hair. There's gonna be. I feel like people are gonna have big problems. So.
Yeah. What have you done with Jeff?
Yeah.
for everyone listening right now who's like, this is the dumbest thing to talk about because we can't see, your haircuts and your beards and whatnot. I think this is a great time to really sneakily just announce that we're planning on starting streaming again at the beginning of May. So in like another like little over a month, you'll be able to see Jeff's glorious hair, my ratty beard, and whatever Zach has going on at that time.
Yeah, because we're all getting shot.
Vaxxed up.
Yeah,
we've all been shot once.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then,
Jeff, have you gotten your second yet?
The 6th of April.
Okay. I think mine's the 14th of April for my second.
Next Tuesday?
And,
this Tuesday?
Yeah.
And 420 for me.
Woo!
And I'm trying to get mine moved up a week.
That's my Avery anniversary as well.
Nice.
Nice. Did both of you get the Pfizer?
No, I got the Moderna.
I got Pfizer.
Yeah, so that's why it's 4 weeks in between mine versus 3. So
mine's supposed to. So I have the Pfizer, but they still scheduled mine 4 weeks out. So that's where I'm trying to get it moved up, but I think there's enough demand right now that they're like, eh.
Yeah.
And I guess I could be glad we're not like the UK just announced that the Pfizer, the first shot has been so effective that they're now waiting like 6 months for people to get the second one because they want to get more people their first shot first, which makes kind of sense, but also I want both my shots, man. I want full protection here. I'm fucking greedy about that. Selfish.
Yeah. Such an American.
Very much so. Classic. I had a very satisfying moment today. Speaking of being American, so I got a phone call, and it definitely popped up on my phone as like spam likely, and I don't know why, but I was like, this one might not be, because sometimes like there's been a handful of times that I've ignored a spam likely, and then I get a voicemail, and it was like a real call.
Oh yeah, I had that happen the other day where they're like, "Hey, we want to make sure your card wasn't compromised. And I was like,
Yeah.
Well, it was. So that's good.
Well, or like one time, like it was like my fucking Lyft driver, like way back before the pandemic. Like he pulled up and then tried to call me and it was like spam likely. And I was like, fucking ignore. And he's like, dude, I'm fucking here. Like, oh yeah, I should probably pay attention to that. But anyway, so I answered, and it was a poll thing sponsored by the CDC and the Colorado Department of Health, and they had this big long list of questions where they're like, you know, you don't have to answer anything you don't want to, and you can stop at any time, blah blah blah. But like, and they asked a bunch of stuff about like, you know, what you consider your general health is, your mental health, your physical health. How many days this month do you think your mental health was bad? How many your physical health bad? Blah, 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 a whole bunch of stuff. Well, then he gets to like demographic stuff. He's like, so considering everyone who lives in your household, what is your household income? And he's like, is it less than $30,000 a year? And I was like, no. It's like, is it less than $50,000 a year? No. And he kept going in like just little like 10 to 20,000 tiers. And so I got to say no, like enough that I started to feel really good about myself. I was like, okay, all right. I'm glad I'm living with a nurse who makes a lot of money. So yeah, I gotta participate in a little survey there, letting people know that, you know, my physical health has been good, but I have drank at least one drink. It was like one of it was like, in the last 30 days, how many days have you had one drink or more? And I was like 20. And he was like, you've had 20 drinks in 30 days? No, I've had 20 days with at least one drink. Like, it's probably been more than that, because I think there has not been that many days this month where I have not had at least a beer. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Let's see. Other news. Megan and I had our more or less last day of snowboarding at Bluebird. They're technically open until this Friday, the 4th. But I don't think we're going to go up. She works Thursday, so it'd be just a day trip Friday, and we don't really.
Wait, did you say Friday the 4th? Did you mean Friday the 2nd?
Sure.
Or
oh yeah, because they're open till the 4th, but we would be going Friday the 2nd. So that's that's where that confusion came in.
Gotcha.
But yeah, because the conditions up there have been not the best the last few days because it's been so warm. It's very much spring conditions. And especially the like 1 to 2 mile dirt road in has turned into, especially by the afternoon, has turned into this like treacherous like mud rally course.
Yeah.
Like, multiple cars stuck. Like, I've been amazed. The Subaru has handled it like a champ on every occasion. We've driven that road now like 6 times with it being in this like crazy fucking bonkers mud. And the Subaru's handled it like a champ. But like we had to push like somebody we met and like kind of got to be friends with. They were in a big old like Sprinter van, but it was a 2-wheel drive, and they got stuck. Like we tried hard to get them out, and no dice. And like I guess the resort was even considering for their last weekend, like setting up a parking lot up at the front just off the highway, and then running a big old shuttle with like a massive farm tractor down the road and stuff like that. It was like, yeah, it's not great. But so we wrapped up the season. I'm missing a few days on my like GPS tracker. Like I had been good most of the days that I went out there. Right at the start of the day, I'd hit, start, like record, and then it would track where I went on the mountain and like a whole bunch of other stats and stuff. I did that most of the days. I did forget a couple days, but at the end of the season, I was able to pull my stats. And so from our first day, which was New Year's Eve, until just this past Friday, the 27th, we did, missing a few days, so this is on the low end of things, 35 miles hiking / riding, like both combined, 43 hours on the mountain, and 10,000 feet ascended. So it was a successful year of riding, hiking, and just general snowboard shenanigans. And I think I'd mentioned in a previous episode that they had this cool little passport program where you could find the stamps hidden all over the mountain. and they had announced a few weeks back that they were having a contest where the first person to turn in a completed pass would get a free season pass there for next year. And so Megan and I finished our passes on Thursday. And so we turned them in Thursday afternoon, and I shared it in the snowboarding channel on the Slack. But I won a free pass for next year, so I'm definitely going back next year. And then we entered a raffle also on Thursday, like $25 for 3 tickets, and we won like $140 wool camping blanket. I won like $110 backpack. And then as part of the rest of that, like turning in my passport prize, I got like $100-some hoodie, a beanie, a like face mask buff thingy, like more like a ski mask style stuff, not like a COVID mask, and then a bunch of stickers and a bunch of other shit. And like combining all of that and like the inclusion of the pass for next year, like I'm pretty sure that they gave me over this last weekend like almost $1,000 worth of free shit. It was pretty awesome. So it was an excellent cap to the season. The whole experience at Bluebird was amazing. It was one of the things that kept our sanity up for the year, like just being able to actually get out and away and have some fun in this hellish time. Definitely helped both of us keep our mental health, on the straight and narrow there. And so all of it ended up great. It was a great season, and now it's probably done, which is a little bittersweet. We were leaving on Friday, and I was like, I'm kind of sad that it's over. Like, this has been one of my favorite like seasons in a long, long time. And so yeah. That's the Bluebird saga. We're still planning on doing some backcountry stuff just on our own in like national park land and like state land and stuff over the course of the next month or so as the mountain snow like slowly starts to really get shitty. Like March and April are technically our snowiest months, so we can still catch some good stuff in April. But the actual like resort time of like seeing the same people and like interacting with the same people and like that whole crew up there at Bluebird who were all awesome. That's all done. And yeah, looking forward to next year already. So that's my snowboarding update. So one of you guys can take it and update something else and blather about something else.
So speaking of Formula One,
sure.
The first race was this last Sunday. I've decided I'm really getting into Formula One.
Okay.
I mean, I've been a casual fan for the past like 3 seasons, but it's just been Mercedes dominating constantly. Now
that seems right. Yeah.
Now that Lewis Hamilton has won 7 world championships and more races than Michael Schumacher, and basically the greatest of all time. There was a bunch of regulation changes, but they pushed them all back to 2022 because of COVID. So everyone's sort of just doing minor changes this year and just sort of coasting before the major regulation changes happen next year. So like some aerodynamic stuff changed. So the cars are a lot closer, where there isn't just like a bunch of shitty cars and then Mercedes, Red Bull, and whoever else happens to get third. That's not one of their cars,
right? Yeah,
because they race in teams. It was a very good race. It was at Bahrain. It went down to the last handful of laps. Hamilton still won, but he wasn't just handed it by like 30 seconds or something. He was, I think, within like a quarter of a second, a tenth of a second. Red Bull was right behind him. So yeah, I watched Formula One. It was good. And it was at 9 a.m., so I could actually watch it live and not like, because it was a night race in Bahrain and not like a day race in China or something, that's very much I'm going to watch that tomorrow morning and try and stay away from Formula One subreddits.
I was just going to say, those guys are so fucking clever about like you said with the regulations, like how much shit they always have to change every single fucking year, because like, those guys have to have like the best fucking like rule lawyers ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to be like, they know every single fucking way they can bend it just enough or get right around it that they keep having to be like, all right, you can't fucking do this turn. You can't do this.
Can't do this next year.
Yeah.
Like Mercedes did that last year they had like a steering wheel control where they could push the steering wheel in or pull it out to adjust like the wheels, which is normally extremely against the rules. But there wasn't a specific rule against the way they were doing it, so they got away with it.
They're basically the best definition of, well, it doesn't say that a dog can't play basketball.
Uh-huh. Correct. And there was a issue last year. Someone had come in for a pit stop and gotten his teammates' tires and not his car's tires, and he had to come back and swap out his tires to his own car's tires and not like his teammates' tires. But they later found out that they didn't actually have to do that because there is not actually a rule against it until this year when they're like, yeah, we should make a rule that that's the thing now. Yeah, so now there's not a race for 3 weeks, so it's going to be a big bummer. Everyone was really excited that the Russian racer that can't drive under the Russian flag because Russia is banned from...
Are they banned from, like, all sports?
All sports of, like, performing under their flag, so he's sort of just, like, neutral driver from Russia. His dad, he was a Formula 2 driver. There's Formula 2, 3, and 4, and it's kind of where drivers come up. And his dad gave a fuckload of sponsorship money / bought the team of Haas. Like, I think they make, like, drill presses or, like, machinery stuff.
It's not the egg dipping thing?
No. Maybe. I don't know where their money comes from. And just gave his son a Formula 1 seat. So normally you would like work your way up. Like Michael Schumacher's son, Mick Schumacher, won Formula 2 last year and is now a Formula 1 driver on that same team, where this son of a Russian oligarch is just handed this seat, and he is not a very good driver. He was 1 point away from being banned from Formula 2 for dangerous driving, but since he went up to Formula 1, his license, his super license, that's what they're called.
Like reset? Or...
Its points were reset, yeah. And everyone was real excited when he spun out and crashed into the wall in turn 3 of the first lap.
Nice.
He's also kind of should have been canceled multiple times. Like, there's videos online of him, like, groping women in the back seat of his vehicle. Like, he is not a good person. So, you know, him crashing out real early everyone was real excited about that. He has yet to finish a lap in Formula 1 outside of qualifying. And I think holds the record for worst actual race premiere in Formula 1 by only making it three turns.
Hey, that's a record's a record, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Lewis Hamilton can't take that one from him.
Nope.
Lewis Hamilton did also break another record in this race, which was most laps in first place at like 5,112 or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude's a fucking monster.
Yep.
And also there was a NASCAR race today that was held on dirt, and apparently that was super cool.
I could imagine that being super cool.
Yeah. It was supposed to be this weekend, but it rained out, and so they didn't want to race it on mud. Because they just put dirt out on a NASCAR track, and I guess it's a really short one. It's only like a half mile or quarter mile or...
Gotcha.
But apparently it was entertaining, so... I think it was called it had a funny name. The Food City Dirt Race.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
So that's your racing update.
Thanks
you won't
for
get
that.
You won't get another one for 3 weeks.
That's probably an acceptable amount of time.
Yeah. It's in Italy next.
Ooh. What about you, Zach? Any other updates you got?
I started and then finished the Miles Morales of Spider-Man, the expansion, or standalone sequel, rather.
Mm-hmm.
It was real good. His powers add a lot of cool things you can do in that game, which is bioelectricity, so you're like hitting people with lightning, and then you can turn invisible, and those add a lot of real cool elements. And
like
I feel
the
like
movie.
it's just, yeah, like the movie. I think they just refined like the structure of the game well, and I think it has I like the dynamic of the cast of characters in this one more, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I might still like the villains more in the first one, but that might just be more in terms of like I know them, and so like you have that connection. Whereas here it's like I didn't know who like the Tinkerer was or the other one. Oh no, I didn't know the other one was. But and it was a lot shorter. It was, I want to say I 100%ed it in like 10 to 12 hours.
But it took 10 to 12 hours just to get the fucking photos in the first one.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Well, and then when you're almost done with the photos, it's like, hey, did you know that there's a shitload of like hidden photos you can get to? And you're like,
yeah.
Oh, god damn it, yeah. This one didn't have any of that. It did have like cooler ones. I liked the suits, and this one a lot better too. It had the Into the Spider-Verse suit, which is real cool. But it
also
has
had the frame rate.
Yes,
thing.
so one of the suit mods you can put on gives you the frame rate of a movie, which is 24 frames per second. Which, if you're in fidelity mode, it's like you're playing it and you're like, oh, I can see he's a little bit different, and it's sort of cool. When you're playing it in 60 FPS mode, you're like, what the fuck is like? He looks like he's just glitching as he's swinging through it. It's hilarious.
That's kind of how the movie looked, though.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like movies being in 24 versus a game being in 24. Yeah.
They specifically lowered his animation rate compared to the rest of the movie.
Yes, until he actually got used to his powers.
Yeah.
You are correct. But it was it looks pretty silly. It was cool, but then I was just like, after doing it for a minute or so, I was like, okay, I got to turn this off.
They could not do this anymore.
Yes. But yeah, overall, I really liked it. I feel like I think it was worth the $50. Especially if you can get the 70 and then get the remastered Spider-Man as well. Because that one was definitely worth the $20 or however much it actually is. But now I'm gonna be doing Ghost of Tsushima, since that has a like PS5 update to do 60 frame per second. And then Last of Us 2 at some point after that, and then hopefully Ratchet and Clank will be out.
And then Ratchet and Clank is apparently getting a... Oh, no, you're talking the PS5.
Correct.
Ratchet and Clank.
A Rift Apart, yeah.
But the PS4 one is getting a 60 frame patch here soon, too.
Oh, they are doing that? Oh, good.
They just announced that today.
Oh, good. Nice. That is good, because it was definitely like I turned it on after playing 60 FPS Spider-Man for a while, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is fine. And then you turn the camera and you're just like, oh god, the motion blur. Let's just wait on that for a while. So it's good to hear that they're getting the 60 FPS, because that
should be coming out in April.
Nice, cool. Yeah, but that's basically I've just been doing work and then that's it. Oh, and then starting to rewatch BoJack Horseman again, because I was looking at my Netflix queue and I'm like, I see these things that I could watch that are new. Or I could watch a depressed horse.
And it would probably be a better idea for me to watch something that I haven't watched that's good, instead of something that I haven't watched that was meh, which was Invincible, the cartoon on Amazon. And then I watched the Solar Opposites new season on Hulu, and they were both very meh.
Yeah.
I haven't started the second season of that one yet.
I haven't watched either of those, but I started to watch like another one that it's on one of the networks, and I think it's also on Hulu right now. But it's the new Nick Offerman, like Alaska and Wilderness show,
The Great North, I think.
Yeah, also super meh.
Do you like Bob's Burgers?
Yes.
Okay.
Love Bob's Burgers.
It's by the same one. It's the same guy. So I just wanted to make sure.
Which had given me hope for it, and then I was like, no. Do we want to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier at all?
Continues to be real good.
Yeah. Continues to have ridiculous fight scenes that are just a hair over the top, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's Marvel action movie, the TV show.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's everything Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wished it could be.
Oh.
I mean,
poor Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
To be fair, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in its subsequent seasons did get pretty good, but it's a shame that one never had the backing to tie to the MCU like these do. So, the first episode, it was like, okay, well, it looks like they're going to be like, it gave you a taste of like, here's, dealing with racism and trauma. And then This one was like, hey, did you want a full course of how we're going to be dealing with that shit? And it's like, okay, so this is what we're in for.
Yeah. Which, like, they continued that, hey, these are things we're not going to shy away from, which is coal. I like to see that.
Agreed.
There was something, and I don't remember what it was that I had seen. I was, maybe it was like a video that was on Reddit or something. I don't know. But like the comments had kind of spoiled a part of the episode, but I didn't realize it because I didn't realize that it was from the second episode. They were like, oh yeah, it's like when the cops run into Falcon and they're like total dicks to him until they realize he's a famous person. And they're like, oh, sorry about that. It's like, oh yeah, maybe you just shouldn't be dicks to random black people.
Mm-hmm. Well, they also introduced a character in the second episode. I was like, I have no idea who this is. And then I looked up who the character was and I was like, oh fuck. That's not great.
Yeah. So yeah, go watch it if you have Disney and you want to keep supporting Marvel mass media stuff.
Yeah, Lord knows they need the money, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they're hurting. They did push back Black Widow. So.
Yep, I saw that. And then it's going to be day and date with Premiere Access, which will be...
It's happening no matter what.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the first one that isn't like Disney that have done that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I beat Control, like all the expansions, everything. Now I'm just wrapping up like 3 achievements because I want 100% this game. So.
Yeah.
I think it's everything.
Cool.
All right. Let's move on to some news and Kickstarters then.
Moving on to news. There's not none. There is not any. There ain't no news.
There is none. Yeah.
There's no news that we're going to talk about. Yeah. Like, I think there's probably some news, but we looked at the stuff we found. We were all like, we don't care about
PAX East got canceled, but PAX Unplugged will probably still happen in December. So. Yeah.
I saw something about Aw Shucks and their schedule, but we can talk about convention schedule stuff later. Indeed. We got Kickstarters to talk about.
We have crowdfunding to start.
Crowdfunding, yes.
Starting with Kickstarter. First up is Fjords, a Grail game. Very well funded. It has 88,000 of its $6,500 goal, over 1,700 backers, about 2 weeks left to go, and you can pledge it at its most popular level of the Jarl for $46.
Yeah. So Grail Games is bringing Fjords back. Fjords is a 2 to 4 player game that takes 30 to 45 minutes. For this edition, they are bringing on podcast favorite Beth Sobel to do the art, and doing some stuff. Phil Walker Harding providing some additional content for it. So Fjords, if you don't know, it's an older game. But it is a game that plays out over 2 parts. You basically play 2 entirely separate games, but then it's one game that you win or lose. So the first phase is a tile laying phase, similar to like a Carcassonne or something. And so in that, you start laying tiles around your starting area. They're hexagonal tiles, and you lay them to make out different like peaks and plains and waterways of the fjords. At the end of that phase, you will place some starting longhouses out, and then you move into the second phase, where from those longhouses, you begin to place out your little Viking explorers to explore the land. And at that point, in the second half of the game, you are playing more of an area control type game as you spread your workers out all around the map and try to control the most space that you can. The winner at the end of the game is the player who has claimed the most land. So the first part where you're like building the island, you're wanting to hopefully try and build it in such a way that you can dominate that second part and really limit other people getting to like, you can make like a little offshoot that hopefully nobody's behind you on, that gives you an opportunity to really expand out and claim all of that land. But yeah, it's got a ton of great reviews. I've never actually played this. I don't think any of us have.
No. I think it had been long out of print. It's from 2005.
Yeah.
This is from... Did you mention that it's from the same guy that did Container?
So I didn't see, is it That's the Phil Walker Harding who's adding the additional stuff, right?
Yeah, it's Franz Benno
Oh,
Launch.
then no. So not Phil Walker Harding at all.
The original one is done by the guy that did Container.
Oh, no, I guess I did not realize that.
Yeah.
So no, I did not mention that.
Originally designed
I was
by...
thinking of a Kickstarter we cut that has a lot of content done by the guy who did Pipeline.
Aha.
So that'll be next week. We'll talk about that Kickstarter.
Yes.
And I was combining Container and Pipeline for some reason because those occupy a similar spot in my brain.
Clearly.
Anyway, speaking of this game, though, Fjords, Rado says that it is a better two-player game than Carcassonne. So
I could see that. Because Carcassonne might not be the best two-player game.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Looks cool. Beth Sobel's art is always amazing. The box art looks really great. And then the board itself, like, when you have it fully built out, like, they have a couple images of it, what it looks like fully built out. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can get the basic edition for only $26, so.
Yeah. If only it weren't for the fact that I'm really just kind of not a huge fan of area control. But,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm sure it'll be available because this one is quite successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, they've unlocked a bunch of stuff, different ruins, which are like expansion stuff, art inside the box, thicker tiles, drawstring bag for drawing things out of, stuff like that.
What do ruins have to do with fjords?
So because you're Vikings, you have rune stones, and you draw those, and those. Yes, that's what I said. And they are different Jarl's privileges that you can use to affect the game. Like one of them allows epic dueling, which gives two players the breadth and scope of the larger board used in a 4-player game. Stuff like that.
In case you want more area control. You want more area to control.
Indeed. So, shipping fairly reasonable for
$10, $12.
A lot of places, yeah. As long as you don't live in like
the rest of the world.
Yeah, actually, even Australia isn't that bad. Their express is garbage, but Brazil sucks. $45 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brazil. But anyhow, that's Fjords.
Fjords.
Go check it out.
Next up on Kickstarter, we have Solani and the Girl Who Made the Stars. Quite well funded, $73,000 of its $30,000 goal, just over 1,000 backers, and about 2 weeks left to go, which you can pledge at its most popular level of $95.
Indeed. So Solani and the Girl Who Made the Stars are the first two games in a new Pillars of Creation series, which is going to be a series of games that feature themes revolving around myths around the globe and human history of like, you know, how things came to be. So both of these have to do with how like the stars and the sun and the moon and things like that came to be. So, starting off here, we have Solani. So this one, they don't have the number of player things and time laid out well. Anyway,
1 to 4.
Solani, 1 to 4 players. I think all of their games they're shooting for 30 to 60 minutes on all of these. So we're going to go with that. So 1 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes. And in this one, it is an abstract tile laying and drafting game where you will be assembling constellations to be set in the sky. And it uses a like snake draft, similar to like the first round of Catan and a bunch of other games that use snake drafts, where you draft one each of the 2 different shapes that make up the board. One of them is like circles, and the other is like rounded out crosses, like plus signs. So, the crosses, like if you put them end to end to end, 4 of them, then there's a spot in the center that's a circle that the circle piece fits right into. You can look at the images on the Kickstarter. They got a bunch of cool GIFs of how it all works. But so starting with the first player, they pick one of the 2 shapes. Then everyone else must pick one of that style of shape. And then whoever picks last, they get to pick the first of the other shape. And then you go backwards up the draft with everybody picking one of that shape as well. Then after you have selected your tiles, you place them onto your board following the simple rule of a tile must go adjacent to a tile of the opposite shape. And you do that to slowly fill out and make different constellations. So the tiles have like different lines and things on them. And you're trying to like surround certain symbols and just make different constellation style things on your player board. And you do that each round for a few rounds based on the number of players. And then depending on how your scorecards score out based on what constellation you drew, somebody will be declared the winner. So, I don't know. I think that one looks kind of interesting. It reminds me it's something about it seems very Azul.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think it's the color scheme more than anything. Like that very, like there's a lot of blue. But because the tiles aren't at all the same as Azul, and you're not playing them, like none of the mechanics of where you lay them or adjacency, like none of that carries over. So I think it's just the blue and the symbols that remind me of Azul. But I really like the boards, at least the way they show them. Well, never mind. They did a good job of making the cardboard look like it's like a little bit of cloth rolled out. And then, yeah, so this one's very like Native American lore. And they have even a whole thing here. Like, I'm not going to read it all out, but it's like the whole lore of the first people story of like how the sun and the moon and the stars came to be. And that's what you're kind of recreating here by making these different constellations and stuff. So,
yeah, it looks neat.
Yeah. So that's Solani, which is one of the two games you can get. The other game, The Girl Who Made the Stars, is an African creation story about where the Milky Way came from. And so this one is a 1 to 4 player worker placement tile laying puzzle game. Like I said, about the creation of the Milky Way and the stars. So to start with this one, you have a large central board where you're going to be placing, you have your own personal board where you're going to be placing your star thing. So similar to the previous game, you're going to be making constellations. As you place these tiles out and complete constellations, you'll be able to pull light off of them, which is the like different colored kind of gemstone looking things like yellows, reds, things like that. You can then use those lights to place out on the village board to connect the village to different like foraging and hunting spaces. You can send villagers out from the village to go and collect resources there. You pay for those resources again with more of the light that you're making on your own personal player board. And then its turn order mechanism uses the night sky track, and like it is one of those where like you move into available spots along it. So like if first and second have a big gap between them, then third player can jump second and move in that little gap. Where if like first and second and third are all on the line, then third would just jump right to the front. So kind of a little bit of turn order manipulation there that you'll want to keep an eye on. But yeah, they got a bunch of like zoomed in images of all the different components and how things look all laid out. They got a bunch of different wooden minis and things for all of the games. Cool wooden tokens. Beautiful artwork on both games, I think. I really like the art on both of them.
Yeah, it's very well done.
Yeah. So yeah. That's Solani and The Girl Who Made the Stars.
You can get them individually for like $50, or you can get them both for $95.
Yeah, so $49 for Solani, $49 for Girl Who Made the Stars, or both of them for the $95. And these are, like I said, the first two in this series. They say that next year, 2022, they show that games 3 and 4 will be coming, and I don't know if they're planning on taking this series longer than those 4 or not. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool.
Yeah, they look good.
They are certainly very beautiful games.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued about the gameplay for Girl Who Made the Stars. Yeah. I like worker placement games. Hopefully it's a good one. But yeah, there you go. Solani and The Girl Who Made the Stars. Go check it out over on Kickstarter.
And last up in crowdfunding, we have Robinson Crusoe, the Collector's Edition, found over on GameFound. Very, very well funded. Just over $1 million of its $59,000 goal. About 2 weeks left to go. Over 7,700 backers, and its most popular pledge being $135.52.
Yep. So 2013's Golden Geek Award for Best Thematic Board Game is getting a collector's edition. So like I feel like they've already had a deluxe edition
and a second edition, and
they've had multiple editions, like first, second, and then I think there was a deluxe, maybe, I don't know. And now there's a collector's edition with minis. Because if you just really wanted some minis for your Robinson Crusoe game, which I will actually pronounce it Crusoe. I've learned after being mocked relentlessly way back in the day for the Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
It's not David's brother. It's just Robinson Crusoe. But yeah, so this is a super version of it. It's got a bunch of minis. Their day one unlock was a modular camp model that is like little, like 2.5-inch cube that represents your 4 levels of palisade and your 4 levels of roof that you can build on your camp. So it's like 8 pieces that are stackable as you grow your camp and make it into more and more of a fortified camp.
But don't let the image on the top of the page fool you. It is not the size of the box. It's 2.5 inches, 2.6 inches. So yeah.
They've added a competitive scenario for day 2. Then they have a bunch of other things they've unlocked. They're doing like daily unlocks for things like new cards, new minis, new companions, things like that. And they'll keep doing that over the course of the whole thing. Yeah, they got a bunch of like additional add-ons you can buy, like mystery tales, treasure chest, upgrade packs, things like that. A neoprene playmat, which I think seems pretty awesome. Painted resin tokens look fantastic. And then like a bunch of sleeves and other things like that if you wanted to get all of those to go with your fancy Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
It's 18 miniatures.
Yeah, which I assume there's 18 classes with all the expansions and stuff then?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never played any of the expansion, like the Mystery Tales.
Well, it looks like the figures have, like, the cook has 2 male and 2 female figures.
Oh, yeah. So it's probably...
and that's due to the fact that you use 2 pawns, right, when you're playing your character.
Yeah.
So that's what
right.
I would get. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and then they have like the dog and Friday.
Yep.
So
that's your
are
18.
both minis. Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Huh?
I said sorry to disappoint you that there aren't 18 classes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
Now, the expansions do add some, but they don't have the minis, so...
Well, so I'm still curious where because there's 4 per class for 4 classes. Oh, 16, and then Friday and the dog is 18. So that's where it is. Okay.
Yep. And they just added a horse companion one, too.
So 19. And then the camp mini.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So it seems like the Mystery Tales is just a combination of a bunch of their other expansions. And then the treasure is all their promos that they've ever had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the King Kong scenario was a promo for a long time. And that would be included.
They also, for this one, are including the Book of Adventures, which is a brand new expansion book with 50 scenarios in it.
Wow.
They have a new system for finding the perfect scenario for your night, for whatever game you want to play. They've got 4 genres: adventure, historical, fantasy, sci-fi. Then they have those broken down into 3 difficulties: easy, medium, hardcore. 3 lengths: short, long, and painful. And then their target audience: kids-oriented, for everyone, and adult-oriented. So using that like matrix, you can look and see that like they show scenario 11 here. I don't see where they show anything besides it being medium difficulty and long. But somewhere they indicate that it is also
like on the top right. It shows adventure and the jungle. So
okay. And the bottom right's kind of cut off, so maybe that's where they show the
target
kids. And the genre, I'm not. Oh, I guess that hashtag the adventure and jungle. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that seems pretty interesting. Like having a bunch of different scenarios, and then having the ability to be like, hey, going into this one, I know that this is going to be a really long one, so I shouldn't do it if I don't have a lot of time. Which is pretty cool.
I wonder if the original scenarios are part of that 50, and this is just a new book to contain them all. So maybe...
It doesn't seem that like it could be.
Yeah.
But it says that it's brand new.
It's
a brand new expansion book.
Yeah. I guess maybe.
There's no way to know.
No. They also have the Mystery Tales expansion. It's a new expansion introducing horror mode to the game. It has a 5-scenario campaign that you follow, where you're trying to find the lost city of Z.
Which was
this has already been a thing. Yeah, this is already an expansion. So
okay, yeah. I wasn't sure what with the whole horror mode thing.
I think, I want to say the Lost City of Z was a separate thing that didn't have to do with like Mystery Tales. So I wonder if this is
different.
Yeah, but a lot of this is stuff that has been around for a while. The real new stuff is the minis and that book, the adventure book.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah.
So go spend money there. It's on GameFound.
Go spend potentially a bunch of money there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for crowdfunding. We're done with crowdfunding. Which lets us move over to some listener feedback where, holy shit, we have an email for Jeff in listener feedback.
We certainly do. This one comes from Patrick. Hey, Patrick. Good on you, mates. Nope, I'm not from Australian. Specifically, he says Australian. I'm finally sending you an email. You're doing a great job. What's your favorite segment on the show and why? Have a great day, Patrick.
Oof, that's a tough thing to answer. I mean, I know at least for myself, it's just a many-way tie between like so many great segments, like doing reviews or doing discussions or
top
doing
10 lists,
or doing like RPG things or any other thing like that.
Segments though. Like at all. Like even if we still did those things, those aren't segments.
They used to to be fair, they used to be.
They certainly did.
Well, okay, yeah, so yes, way back at the start, we used to include reviews as a segment of the show.
We don't do that anymore, so...
No, we don't.
Because we split them off into their own episode.
We haven't for years.
Yeah.
And RPG stuff was never a segment. Those have always been standalone.
Huh? Standalone segments.
Standalone episodes, sir. Banter. Banter's my favorite. Because I like just talking into the void about snowboarding with no responses whatsoever.
Epic dropped all their prices 20%, so they got that going for them.
Oh shit, yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
It's actually cheaper to buy Epic this year than it was last year.
By 20%. I like the part where I talked about Blood Bowl and like matches I would play. But
maybe someday, Jeff.
Someday.
Blood Bowl will return.
Someday.
I'm really surprised you guys didn't do more Blood Bowl, considering like Fumble's really good.
Yeah, after like the 3rd or 4th season or whatever it was, sort of dropped off.
Yeah, probably similar to you, Adrian, in that it's not the same playing it on the.
I enjoyed it, but not everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair. Yeah. So my serious answer is my favorite segment is generally like the bantery portion of it, but it's definitely better when we're all in the same studio, like we hopefully will be in a little over a month.
So Adrian can watch Jeff and I just look at our phones while he talks about snowboarding.
I feel like we're all better about like not doing that when you can actually feel the other person's eyes like staring at you. Like when you have to make eye contact, there's like that additional social pressure to do at least the bare minimum of like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you're saying is that when we get back, it'll be fine as long as my eyes are deadlocked with yours. If it's just silence.
Just stare into his soul.
Yeah.
If you could successfully pull that off and then continue to not react when I inevitably lose my shit at how ridiculous you're being. Because I feel like that's what's going to happen. Is he'll stare into my soul.
Yeah.
I won't realize it at first. I'll be rambling, and then I'll realize it. I'll fall all over myself with all over my words and start laughing, and then that will make you crack, and then it'll be an interesting bit.
Sounds like a challenge. I sort of hate to say banter as well, but that's also because that's just the easiest way for us to just talk to each other.
Kill time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's usually where more of our personality and things that make the show good come from. I don't think there's that many people who listen to us for our hot takes about Kickstarter games. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's why people come and listen to Mile High Game Guys.
And I look forward to us playing games more regularly, so we actually have more to talk about versus just the one that we played or something like that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, considering we still took up at least 30 minutes today talking about 2 games.
Yeah.
Episodes are going to get long again, folks. Most podcasts will be coming back. But yeah, that's it for listener feedback. If you would like to give us some feedback, there are multiple ways to do so. You can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter or I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
We have our Instagram.
I have a whole Twitter.
I thought you were gone again. I thought you were gone again.
Jeff_MHGG.
We have our Instagram account at MHGameGuys. You can find us over at Facebook.com/MHGameGuys. Our website, MileHighGameGuys.com, although it technically exists, you'd be better off finding our content over at PunchboardMedia.com, along with all of the other awesome creators over there. On those posts over on PunchboardMedia.com, you can check out our show notes, which include links to the crowdfunding, not Kickstarter, the crowdfunding things we talk about, the news items we talk about, as well as links to things like our Slack channel, which has a bunch of awesome channels about all manner of things. Blood Bowl channels, snowboarding channels, video games, movies, all whatever little niche interest you want to interact with us and all of our other awesome fans with on the Slack, you can, unless you're Boyd, whose company finally wised up to why your productivity has plummeted and blocked Slack on your company Wi-Fi.
Question though is if do we know if they blocked Slack or they blocked our Slack?
We do not know yet, but I really hope it's just that they blocked our Slack.
Yes.
And they're like, good God, this guy spends way too much time.
It's literally 8 hours of his workday. That's Windows.
You can also find our streams over at twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. Tomorrow, day after recording, a couple days before release, there will be a new episode of Mile High Dungeon Delvers premiering over on our Twitch channel. And then, like I mentioned really sneakily earlier in the show, we are planning on starting streaming again in May. So that first Monday in May, we'll be doing a in-studio stream of the episode recording. And then that Friday, we'll be doing a board game stream live in studio on Twitch. Because we'll be all vaxxed up and ready to go. And so
we got a backlog of games we got to play.
Yeah, we've got 3 or 4 games from Grey Fox, our sponsors. We've got Rap Gods on deck. A couple other games I think that we've been wanting to stream for a while. So
we've got a Tapestry expansion.
A Tapestry expansion.
Pendulum, which I'm sure will be totally fine on that size of table.
So we got a bunch of stuff lined up. So for at least the first few months of streaming, especially if we can get back in the swing of things and really stream every week, I'd say we've got a whole 2 months of streaming planned out before it all falls apart and we're like, well, shit, what are we gonna? It's Thursday. What are we streaming tomorrow? Shit.
I don't know. Whatever.
And then everybody will be, oh, this is the Mile High Game Guys that I've known for years. So yeah.
Yep. Well, and I feel like with, because this is episode, 224?
Correct.
That it seems like by that time 230 comes around, we'll be back to streaming and like recording live. So it may be time to bring back a top 10 at that point. So
yeah, I might have to start coming up with a new one shot pretty soon too. Maybe some Dread. Get the Jenga tower out.
Maybe a Board Game Geek Guild post since 184.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
40 episodes.
Yep.
So yeah. But all of that coming up on deck here, starting at the beginning of May. So you got another month. We'll probably take a couple weeks off at the end of April, just because the studio needs reassembled, cleaned, organized. The table needs to actually have space for a board game. Monitors need rearranged, things like that. Yeah. And then we'll be back. It'll be great. So look forward to it. That's almost everything. As always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Gray Fox Games, for continuing to sponsor the show. They are going to have a new Kickstarter launching very soon. EOS Island of Angels that they're launching along with King Raccoon Games. It is a worker placement game with an engine builder mechanic where you are working to awaken angels, test their virtue, choose the best path to the island, compete for different titles, and then fight off demons. So, whole bunch of stuff going on in that game. King Raccoon Games was also behind Tsukiyumi Full Moon Down, which we know how big and full of shit that game was. So, we'll see what they have in store for us with EOS Island of Angels. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us?
Of course. Gray Fox Games. Quality games cleverly crafted. Also, Mantis had incredible power. Fantastic power. Maybe that power could have been used to make people happy. It is sad when you see all that power being used just for war.
Oh, it's the story of America right there. Yeah. So, lastly, don't want to forget to always thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon, including our newest patron, Jimmy, who has very generously pledged at the $25 level. So thank you, Jimmy. You have by far and away avoided having Jeff rake you over the coals for only giving $1.
Like
and
25
we really
times.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And we really appreciate that. We appreciate everybody who supports us and who has continued to support us. I know the last year has been tough. Streaming basically completely went away. We cut back on episode frequency. We haven't done any reviews in a long time. I really, really do appreciate all of the fans who continue to be active in our Slack channel, who continue to interact with us and support the show, especially those of you who choose to and are able to support us financially over on our Patreon. That really does mean a lot to us. I know we don't talk about it a lot. We don't try to like super hype up our Patreon and things like that, but we appreciate everybody who does support us and allows us to keep doing this. And we are really looking forward to being able to get back to being most podcast and really getting back into the swing of the things that you all loved about us pre-pandemic, when we were all in the same shower curtain laden studio. It's at least better audio quality than when we were talking into Nalgene's and Schooners. But hopefully a similar vibe will still be there when we're all back together in the same room again. So yeah, I think that's everything. So I think we can wrap it up. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm not without my anus.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.